We are hearing SRIMAD BHAGAVATAM. The day before yesterday, I read about Vidur, and there in commentary it was mentioned why he had to take such a birth as a Shudra. So not all details were given here, and I said I will try to find in Puranic Charitavali. At that time I could not, but today I found, so I want to read that from Puranic Charitavali, so that the detail also which I had in mind is given. In times gone by, there lived a Brahmana sage Mandavya, who was learned, intelligent, truthful, and a great yogi. That Brahmana was silently performing penance with his hands raised for a very long time under a tree next to the main gate of his ashram. At that time, some dacoits came there with looted items and, being chased by the guards of the city, hid themselves in his ashram. When the guards arrived, they inquired from the sage about the dacoits, but sage Mandavya did not reply. As they did not receive any response, the guards went inside the ashram and found the dacoits hiding there with the stolen goods. They bound the dacoits to bring them to the king. The guards were also suspicious of sage Mandavya and thought him to be one of the accomplices of the dacoits, one who cooperates with them, as they had found them in his ashram, and above all, he had given no response to their query about the dacoits. Thus, they arrested him and took him with them. In ancient times, people abided by the law and followed dharma. They did not harm anybody by framing him or her with false charges. So, if any charge were framed against anyone, the king would consider it true and pronounce punishment. Therefore, the king gave the order to kill the dacoits and sage Mandavya, even without questioning the sage. The royal soldiers hanged everyone as ordered and returned the loot to the king. All died through hanging, apart from the great mystic Mandavya Rishi, who did not die, even though he was kept hanging for a long time and not given anything to eat. He held on to his life and, using the power of penance, called upon his fellow sages. Those sages came to him in the form of birds and transformed themselves back to their original forms when they approached sage Mandavya. So you see what kind of powers they had. He, by telepathy, he called those sages and they took the form of birds to come. The sages felt morose to see him hanging, yet engaging in penance even in that state, and inquired about the reason for his torment. Sage Mandavya replied to the sages, "It would be wrong to blame others for my suffering. I do not know what I have done, but surely I and no one else am the cause of it. The royal personage was astonished to see him alive and undisturbed even after hanging for such a long time and having been pierced with a shula, that is spear or spike. So he informed the king. The king was fearful when he heard this, and having realized his mistake, he then rushed to the sage and prayed for forgiveness. Sage Mandavya was pleased to hear the humble words of the king. The king himself pulled the sage off the shuli, hanging stage, but even after many attempts, he could not take out the shula from his body, that spear. So he then cut away the weapon's protruding part. Sage Mandavya continued performing penance despite having part of the lens still in him. He won all the rare, pious planets as fruits of his penance. As he carried within him the front part of the shula, which is called Ani, he became famous as Ani Mandavya. One day, learned sage Mandavya went to Yamapuri, the abode of the demigod Dharma, or Yamaraj. When he saw Dharmaraj seated there, he condemned him and asked him what he had done to cause him to be hanged and to stay hanging for such a long time. He further said that he would demonstrate the power of his penance. Dharmaraj replied that during Mandavya's childhood, he had pierced the back of an insect with a sharp twig. That is why the sage had to suffer so much. The sage was furious to hear this and said, "O Dharmaraj, you have given me such a harsh punishment for a sin committed by me during childhood. I therefore curse you to be born in a low caste, and I hereby make a law that one may not suffer the fruits of his bad karma until one reaches 14 years of age. One shall bear the fruits of the sins committed only after this age. Due to this curse, Dharma or Yamaraj took birth as Vidur in a low caste." And then from Bhagavatam, there is evidence. "I know that you are now Vidur due to a curse given by Mandavya Muni, and that formerly you were King Yamaraj, the great controller of living entities after their death. You were begotten by the son of Satyavati, Vyasadeva, with the maid who was accepted as a wife by his brother, Vichitravirja." So this is the history with all the details that I had in mind, that 14 years. So one, because child, his consciousness is not developed, so he does not know what is right and wrong and all this. He should be taught, but he may do different things due to that impressions. But once he reaches the age of 14, then he has enough discrimination and knowledge, then he will be responsible for the fruits of his sinful activities if he did. Before that will be forgiven. But what you did, because of that consciousness already developed, then you will get. Likewise, animals, they are just working by their instincts, so they are not getting any sinful acts and reactions. They're not doing. Only human being, because human being has the power of discrimination, and that after 14 years of age it will be counted. So this was there. So here Vidur in Bhagavatam, it was stated that Vidur left that house, palace, and went north, and he heard Harikatha from Maitreya. And then he returned to Hastinapur, and also we heard, after asking various questions and becoming established in the transcendental loving service of Lord Krishna, Vidur retired from putting questions to Maitreya Muni, because there are no further questions to be asked and answered. That is the ultimate point one has to understand, that we are eternal servants of Krishna. We have eternal relation with him. Already it is existing eternally, but we forgot. So we have to be awakened into that eternal relationship and serve Krishna. Then there are no further questions. Our Gurudev also once, when he was in Russia, they told him there will be some questions, because every day after Harikatha some questions. Then one day Gurudev said, these questions are useless, because the thing is, you should ask how that self-effulgent truth will be revealed to me, how I can realize. Not that we are asking all the time some theoretical questions, means to want to know some theory, intellectual knowledge, gathering some intellectual knowledge, or checking whether he knows that or not, or like this. So Gurudev felt that their mood of asking question was not good. Our target should be pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya. You have to submit to Guru and ask honest inquiry about how that self-effulgent truth will be revealed. That you should ask, and then you have to practice. Not all the time asking and gathering some knowledge for the sake of gathering knowledge, but not practicing and not realizing. Then what is the use? You will not get any actual benefit, and you are wasting your time and wasting the time of sadhu. So honest inquiry and sevaya, you have to practice them. So Vidur retired from putting questions to Maitreya Muni. Tam bandhum agatam drishtva dharma putra sahanujaha dhritarashtro yutsuscha sutah sharadvataha prita Gandhari Draupadi Brahman Subhadra Chotara Kripi Anyaschajan Jamaya Pandor Gyatayah Sasutah Striyan. Sasuta, with their sons. Yes. When they saw Vidur return to the palace, all the inhabitants, Maharaj Yudhishthir, his younger brothers, Dhritarashtra, Satyaki, Sanjay, Kripacharjo, Kunti, Gandhari, Draupadi, Subhadra, Uttara, Kripi, many other wives of the Kauravas, and other ladies with children, all hurried to him in great delight. It so appeared that they had regained their consciousness after a long period. Pratyu jagmuh praharshena pranam tanva ivagatam abhisangamya vidivat parishvanga bivadaneh. With great delight, they all approached him, as if life had returned to their bodies. They exchanged obeisances and welcomed each other with embraces. We heard that Mandavya Muni is also giving this teaching. He was suffering, but when they asked, he said there is no one to be blamed, because he knows Krishna is the giver of fruit of all actions to everyone. So he said there is no use of blaming anyone. I'm reaping the fruits of my own actions. I don't know, but I did something. That is what I'm getting, because Krishna is the giver of fruit. There is no mistake there. So, by submitting to Krishna, serving him, we can be rescued from the reactions of our activities, not by any other trying to change outside something, because it is I am the cause of that. So I have to rectify myself, then you can be rescued. Mumuchuh prema bashpaugham virahaut kantya kataraha rajatam arhayam chakre kritasana parigraham. Due to anxieties and long separation, they all cried out of affection. King Yudhishthir then arranged to offer seating, accommodations, and a reception. Tam bhuktavantam vishrantam asinam sukham asane prashrayava natoraja prahatesham chashrinvatam. After Vidur ate sumptuously and took sufficient rest, he was comfortably seated. Then the king began to speak to him, and all who were present there listened. Yudhishthir Uvach Apis Maratha no Yushmat Paksha Chaya Sameditan Vipadganat Vishagnader Mochitayat Samatkrika. Maharaj Yudhishthir said, "My uncle, do you remember how you always protected us, along with our mother, from all sorts of calamities? Your partiality, like the wings of a bird, saved us from poisoning and arson." Arson is that putting fire. Pujar, we say in Slovene language. Kaya vritya vartitam vash charadbi kshiti mandalam tirtani kshetra mukhyani sevitani habhutale. Because Duryodhan made one house made of lac that from that material, wax, candles are made of, and then he put fire, but they were rescued, Panchapandavas. And he wanted to poison them also. Every time they were rescued by Krishna, by some here in the Vidur advised them at that time, you should not stay in that house. While traveling on the surface of the earth, how did you maintain your livelihood? At which holy places and pilgrimage sites did you render service? Bhavat vidha bhagavatas tirtha bhutah swayam vibho tirti kurvanti tirthani swantah stena gada brita. My Lord, devotees like your good self are verily holy places personified. Because you carry the personality of Godhead within your heart, you turn all places into places of pilgrimage. This is very famous verse and quoted in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu and other Hari Bhakti Vilas, maybe an important verse in Sandarbhas. To understand, sometimes devotees, they are very eager to go to holy places like Navadip, and then they take some book with them and they go to that place alone and they read there, and it is good. But if some pure devotee is present, then you will get more benefit by attending to him than even to go to holy place, because that pure devotee is carrying Krishna in his heart. Krishna is present. Tomara hridaya sada Govinda Visharam. Govinda kohena mama Vaishnava para. Krishna saying, Vaishnava is my life. I'm always in his heart, taking rest there, because devotee has no demands. Devotee only thinking about satisfying Krishna. He has no any his own desires, demanding this, that, so many things. So Krishna is taking rest there in his heart, very peaceful and very happy. I saw when I was in Calcutta and Gurudev was there, present, and some devotees, they did not care to meet Gurudev, but only were interested to visit that holy place, that holy place, that holy place. That is, of course, good to go on holy place, but to meet pure devotees more better and to more good. It is better. It is the best. And following his instruction for the service of Krishna, that is ultimate benefit. So if some pure devotee is present, then that should be given prominence. And even Mahaprabhu told, when he went to Gaya to offer Shrad to his father in holy place, that is more beneficial if you go to holy place, and Gaya is especially meant for that. So Mahaprabhu went there, but by his own example, he did all the Shraddha in different places there. But when he met Ishwar Puripat, then he said, now I got the actual fruit of going to holy place, to meet a holy man. And he said, I'm getting 1,000,000 times more benefit from this. You will find in Chaitanya Bhagavat. That is important. Here, Yudhishthira is telling, you, wherever you go, because you are carrying Supreme Lord in your heart, that place becomes holy place of pilgrimage. And when holy men, they come to pilgrimage place or to Ganga like this, they even purify those accumulated sins of other sinners who went there to purify themselves. They purify the holy places. So that should be prominent, to try to find a pure devotee and serve Krishna under his guidance. Then surely you will get the grace of Krishna without doubt. So, my Lord, devotees like your good self are verily holy places personified. Because you carry the personality of Godhead within your heart, you turn all places into places of pilgrimage. Apinach suhridas tata bandavah Krishna devataha drishta shrutava yadava swapuryam sukam asate. I remember now. Also, I heard from Srila Gopananda Bon Maharaj. He was staying in Vrindavan with his Gurudev, Srila Bhakti Hridoy Bon Gosai Maharaj. So one time some pilgrims, they came and they wanted to go to Govardhan to do parikrama, and Gopananda Bon Maharaj was also interested to go with them. But Srila Bon Maharaj told him, no, you cannot give up the service of your Gurudev for the sake of this. You will be loser. You will lose. You will get more benefit being in the service of Guru. What Guru ordered, that service is more important than visiting Govardhan. You will get more. And we heard some days back, Srila Bhakti Swarup Parvat Maharaj, disciple of Prabhupada. He gave us this teaching. Once he went to visit Badri Narayan. That is, of course, holy place of pilgrimage. But without permission of Prabhupada. And Prabhupada, he chastised him out of affection for his own good. Said, no, that is not good. You will not get as much benefit as directly serving directly obeying the order of Guru, whatever he may say. So there is a gradation of importance. So there are other examples also, like our Gurudev also revealed when they were doing Brajamandal Parikrama and Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami was walking very slow. So some devotees, they became impatient and they came to our Gurudev, who was walking behind him very slowly. And they said, Puri Maharaj is going very slow. If we will not increase our pace, then we will not be able to see all the places. Then Gurudev became very angry. What you will see? What you will see with this material eyes? Darshan, we will not get darshan of all. What you will see? Srila Puri Maharaj, he's seeing everything with his spiritual eyes. That lila, this lila, what is the glory of that holy place? He's seeing everything. By following him, we may get some glimpse of that. We may get some actual spiritual benefit. This is not sightseeing, like to see some Eiffel Tower or like that. That you can see with your material eyes. But holy place, you cannot realize with this material eyes. You have to follow Vaishnava, follow his order, and in serving mood, then you can get contact with actual Dham. So that is why Mahaprabhu first mentioned Sadhu Sangha, then other forms of devotion, because without shelter of Sadhu, you cannot do properly those devotional forms. Nam, Kirtan, Mathuravas, all this. You need guidance of pure devotee. My uncle No, I didn't read Sanskrit. Apinah suhridastata bandava Krishna devataha drishta shrutava yadavaha sapuryam sukhamasate. My uncle, you must have visited Dwaraka. In that holy place are our friends and well-wishers, the descendants of Yadu, who are always wrapped in the service of Lord Shri Krishna. You might have seen them or heard about them. Are they all living happily in their abodes? Iti ukto dharma rajena sarvam tat samavarnayat yathanu bhutam kramasho vinayado kulakshayam. Thus, being questioned by Maharaj Yudhishthir, Mahatma Vidur gradually described everything he had personally experienced except news of the annihilation of the Yadu dynasty. Nanva priyam durvishaham nrinam swayam upastitam nave dayat sakaruno dukhitan drashtum akshama. Compassionate Mahatma Vidur could not stand to see the Pandavas distressed at any time. Therefore, he did not disclose this unpalatable and unbearable incident because calamities come of their own accord. Here, Sai Maharaj is commenting, according to Niti Shastra or civic laws, one should not speak an unpalatable truth to cause distress to others. Distress comes upon us in its own way by the laws of nature, so one should not aggravate it by propaganda. For a compassionate soul like Vidur, especially in his dealings with the beloved Pandavas, it was almost impossible to disclose an unpalatable piece of news like the annihilation of the Yadu dynasty. Therefore, he purposely refrained from it. Kanchit kalam athavatsit sat krito devavat sukham bratur jeshtasya shreyaskrit sarvesham sukham avahan. Thus, Mahatma Vidur, being treated just like a godly person by his kinsmen, remained there for a certain period just to rectify the mentality of his eldest brother, that is Dhritarashtra, and in this way bring happiness to all the others. So for this purpose he came there, out of compassion. Abhibrat Aryamadandam yathavat aghakarishu yavadadhara shudratvam shapad-varsha shatam yama. As long as Vidur played the part of a Shudra, being cursed by Manduka Muni, here again it is Manduka Muni, maybe he has two names, but in that verse of Bhagavatam, which we read before, it is also mentioned Mandavya Muni, the one about whom we just heard before. He cursed him and he changed that law. That is, of course, by the will of Krishna. They are doing this pastime. Aryama officiated at the post of Yamaraj to punish those who committed sinful acts. So when Yamaraj was absent from the court because he was playing the part of Vidur, then his substitute, Aryama, officiated at the post of Yamaraj to punish those who committed sinful acts. That is not out of malice, to wish harm to anyone, no. But we have to realize the actual nature of our activities so that we can understand it properly and change. Like, for example, one boy, he suddenly gets that idea, if I will take drugs, then I will get happiness and my problems will be solved. So mother and other experienced persons, they are saying, no, that is not good and you will not get that result. They're trying to explain, but he's keeping his own conception all the time. No, it is not like that. And finally, he starts to take that drug, and gradually, when he becomes addicted and that drug also starts to ruin him in all possible ways, brain damage, health, all sort of, and he cannot come out now because of addiction and so. So through that experience of the results, he will be able to understand that that was the actual truth. What they said was truth, but he had wrong conception. So he had to get that experience to realize the nature of that action and result, and that he can hopefully change. Like that, we thought this Maya is meant for my enjoyment. Let me enjoy. If I will enjoy this Maya, then I can be happy and I can remove my wants and everything. But Krishna said, no, that is not like that. Yoga Maya is always inviting us to serve Krishna, but we did not hear. We thought, no, I will be happy by enjoying Maya. So when entering into Maya, and we may get some sense pleasure, but there is reaction also. One thing is, you will not be fulfilled by getting that pleasure because it is only outside. The more you identify with the body, the more you can feel that pleasure. But if you are little detached, then you will not feel that pleasure. But another thing is also is that the more you are identified with the body, you will get more pleasure. That is true. But you will also get more suffering in reaction as one who is detached from gross body and mind also. One who is detached, he will not get suffering, but also no pleasure. But he's not seeking that pleasure. That is the point. So the more you are inside, the more you will get so-called happiness, but also suffering. So in this world, it is better to be detached. Shantaras is the best of all relationships in this world, because you will not suffer so much the consequence of that. Siddhartha Gautam also, he realized this by meditation. Here in this world, everything is temporary and nothing is ours. So when we are attached, we inevitably, surely, we will have to suffer loss, surely. So better to be detached, to come out from this, to step. But devotees, they are not practicing this kind of vairagya. They are realizing their eternal relation with Krishna and with all jivas in relation to Krishna, and they are acting accordingly. They are serving Krishna and they are compassionate to jivas like that. So automatically becoming attached to Krishna and those relationships, they become automatically detached from this illusory perception and illusory these things. So they are not suffering. So that is the solution. We have to realize our eternal actual relation is with Krishna. By chanting from the core of heart, with the help of pure devotees, then we can realize, then we will not suffer. Otherwise it is inevitable. So here, the Yamaraj or Aryam, they're also instruments in the hand of Krishna. They're instrumental in giving the fruits. But Krishna is not giving the fruit out of malice, to want to give pain to someone intentionally so that that person will suffer. That is not his target or desire, no. But like one child, his mother is teaching him, but in spite of that, that naughty child wants to do some bad activities, not understanding the bad consequences of those activities. Still he wants to do. So mother is sometimes slapping him, not because she wants to harm that child, but for his own betterment, for his own good. Like that, Krishna is all good. That is why those who are on that platform in Bhagavatam, that verses, they are seeing the grace of Krishna in all circumstances. They know Krishna is the giver of fruits, and they see that in this fruit there is a mercy of Krishna for me. I have to get that lesson. I did not listen. Like that child taking drugs, he did not listen. So he had to get that suffering to realize. It was not necessary, but it was his. He was stubbornly, or we enter into Maya or sinful activity. So in order to correct us, to rectify us, they are giving the results so that we learn from those results, that we will not think that we can be happy by trying to enjoy Maya. And all the time fear is there. You will find in Upanishad also, and in Bhagavatam also is there. If one deviates from the interest of Supreme Lord, means one is not engaged in his service as is one natural position and nature. When one deviates from that, even a bit, he wants to enjoy Maya, immediately he is overcome by fear, immediately. So that is why out of compassion, Krishna appears in this world and he sends his own persons to make us understand, to wake us up from this dream of who we are, what is our duty, to whom we belong, or how we are related to everyone, to this world, to all jivas, everything. They can realize the souls, they are living in that reality, so they can take us to that, awake us from this illusory perception which is causing suffering. Once you come out, then there is no suffering. I also got this experience when I first time met Gurudev. I was feeling some trouble, bad mood because of long travel, bad something. So Gurudev immediately understood what was going on in me, in my ego, false ego. So he asked, how was your travel? Then I said, no, very bad. Then Gurudev said everything is happening by the will of Krishna. Everything depends on the will of Krishna. So because Gurudev is established in that level of realization that he's seeing that it is good, but we are not seeing like that. Everything is the grace of Krishna, but we are not perceiving because we have some other own desires and not seeing what we did in past, what will happen in future, that now we are getting less because of mercy of Krishna. All this we are not seeing, but Gurudev is established in that platform. So just by saying that one sentence, immediately that came to me and I was fully released from all sufferings. And I got the bliss from inside my heart. There was no complaining mood, no argument mood, no accusation mood, nothing. Because Krishna is all good. So even when he is punishing, that punishment is not out of grudge, out of malice or bad wishing, or no. It is for our good. But we can realize this gradually when we practice seeing properly and giving up other desires and engaging in the service of Krishna, then we can realize, yes, it was His grace. He's so merciful. So Yamaraj was absent, so Aryama did. Here it is stated, Aryama is one of the many sons of Kashyapa and Aditi. The Adityas are sons of Aditi. She is the mother of demigods. Diti is the mother of demons. Father is the same, mother is different. They are stepbrothers, but all the time fighting. So that is why they are Daityas. Daityas and Danavas. Prahlad Maharaj was born in that side, but he was pure devotee. So Aryama is one of the 12 Adityas. And therefore it was quite possible for him to take charge of the office of Yamaraj during his 100 years absence in the form of Vidur. The conclusion is that Vidur was never a Shudra, but was greater than the purest type of Brahmana. This is only for the sake of pastime they do like that. Yudhisthiro labda rajyo drishtva pautram kulandharam Bratri loka palabhair mumude paraya shriya. Having won his kingdom and observed the birth of one grandson, competent to continue the noble tradition of his family, Maharaj Yudhishthir reigned peacefully and enjoyed uncommon opulence in cooperation with his younger brothers, who were all expert administrators to the common people. So when they saw that there is one surviving child, that is Parikshit Maharaj, they were happy. He got relief that someone will take care of this world. Here, Maharaj Yudhishthir felt some relief as a human being, although he had very little attraction for material happiness, which is always illusory and temporary, and also reactionary. So better we practice service to Krishna and detach from all other pursuits of happiness, because ultimate result will always be frustration. Always. Inevitably, because it is like that. You cannot change the reality. Like that boy, he thought, if I will take drugs, then this will be the result. But that is his mistake. Fact is another. No one can change the fact. So Maya is Maya. Looks like water, but it is not. So you cannot quench your thirst. Only you will have to suffer. So those who are wise, those who got human birth and who are wise and got association of pure devotee, they will strive for coming out from this and attaching themselves to Krishna for his service. Then that will be actually successful in getting what we actually all want. That is the only successful attempt or way to get what we need, what we want. So, but it is on us. We have to decide to practice this and not that which will not give us. So tomorrow we will observe here, according to Indian calendar, Advaita Acharya's appearance. He is so compassionate, unimaginably, unfathomably compassionate. He saw the suffering of all jivas here. Why? Because they are averse to Krishna. That is the real cause why they are suffering. They don't understand. So he was so compassionate, he prayed to Supreme Lord, you please come. You please make them understand. So compassionate. That is the real compassion. To wake us up from these wrong ideas, how we can be happy. That is illusory. But that does not mean that happiness does not exist. It exists. But in the actual service of Krishna, and Krishna is coming, his devotees, they are coming, so we should follow them. And then we can be successful.